Good evening. I'm Glenn Hargett with the City of Jacksonville, and this is a meeting of the Jacksonville Environmental and Appearance Advisory Committee. And this evening, due to circumstances, some favorable and some due to traveling, we have neither a chairman or a vice chairman this evening. The vice chair is receiving a certification in her field this evening, and something she's very proud of. And our chairman's traveling at this time. So because of that, we need to elect someone to be a presiding officer for this session. Are there any nominations or volunteers who wish to do that this evening?
I nominate Linda Smith.
I second.
All right. All those in favor of making Linda Smith the presiding officer for this meeting, say aye.
Aye.
And likewise opposed, say nay. With that, you're in charge now, so you may call the meeting to order.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone, and would like now for everyone to introduce themselves. I am Linda Smith, and I am a committee member.
I'm Sarah Holden, and I'm a committee member.
I'm Sunshine Williams, and I'm a committee member.
Mindy Peterson.
Committee member.
Jill Webb, member.
Betty Shufflebond, member.
Marcy Keith, member.
Patrick Carroll, member.
And this is Yolande Henley. She is administrative assistant with the city, and she's going to be helping us with our duties. And we'll introduce these two fine gentlemen in just a few moments as it is.
Okay, can I have a motion to adopt or amend the agenda?
I make a motion that we adopt the minutes.
I second.
And everyone has had a chance to read your minutes. I need a motion.
Well, let's just first do the adoption of the agenda first,
Yes,
okay? So we need a motion to adopt the agenda, and was made by Ms. Williams, and the second was made by who?
Me.
Okay,
Marcy Keith. Oh, I second.
you may call the question now.
Call. All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone has had a chance to look over the minutes, and I need a motion to adopt or amend the minutes with corrections if necessary.
I motion to adopt.
A second.
It has been properly motioned by Sarah and second by
Ms. Sunshine.
Sunshine Williams. To adopt, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposes? Okay, next we're gonna start doing our presentations, and we have two presentations this evening.
And I'll call attention. As you all know, Kerry Terrell is celebrated for his excellent leadership of sanitation. He has a great team over there, and his personal commitment calls him to be there at 4 o'clock in the morning and not go home even on Saturdays to make sure things happen. But he is great, and he's agreed to come and talk to you a little bit about the work of the Sanitation Division. Kerry.
Thank you very much. Committee members, I'd like to just talk with you a little bit about sanitation. It's been a year or so since I've been in front of the committee. I'd like to first introduce some administrative people in the sanitation department. These are individuals that if you call the office, you'll speak with Terry. Donald, you'll probably see him out and about with the crews. Terry Polk is the administrative assistant for the sanitation division. And Donald Maupin is the field supervisor for the sanitation division. They help us a great deal in the office of keeping things straight and making sure that I don't mess up, believe me. I was asked to come to talk about the state of sanitation, and in the past year, in fact in the past 2 years, the sanitation division has changed significantly. I think a number of you know now that the sanitation department does the commercial dumpster service program now. We took it over from the contractor back in July of, I think it's 2014. Things started a little shaky, but things have been progressing well now, and I think we have turned a corner as far as our progress in that department is concerned. Let's talk about the mission of the sanitation division. It's to manage city residential and commercial waste stream and provide environmentally sound and safe methods for collecting and transporting and disposing of solid waste. You know, that is our commitment to the citizens of Jacksonville, along with excellent customer service that we try to provide. We don't always do things right, but we always try to do things to the benefit of the customer. Technically, right now, we have a customer base of 11,103 households. About 450 of those are small business customers. 862 commercial accounts now with about 1,152 dumpsters that we collect on a weekly basis. The services we provide, I think a lot of you are familiar with those services, but to refresh everyone's memory, we know refuge and bulky waste collection, recycling collection, yard waste collection, refuse and recycling container delivery, tire collection, electronic collection, used and dry paint and cooking oil collection, appliance and pallets, the dial truck program, we also provide that, and a number of you have used that service, I think, in the past, and hopefully you'll use it in the future. On the commercial end, we offer the commercial dumpster collection service, as you know. Saturday service now we provide for the commercial customers. We have a recycling program for the commercial customers, which consists of two phases. One is recycling with the dumpsters, and we also have rollout containers that we provide for commercial customers that are in a position, they're not in a position to have the big dumpsters at their locations, so we provide the rollout containers for them. We're also now in the dumpster rental business. We're slowly but surely picking up accounts on the commercial side of the rental of those dumpsters. That's a good revenue source for the city, and we hope to, in the future, to continue to improve on that and increase the customer use of that service. Some of which I know, hate to do a lot of times as far as figures are concerned, but it's helpful to look at figures when you talk about the sanitation department and what we do. We have 36 employees. We've picked up 10,577 tons of garbage last year, the last fiscal year. Yard waste was 4,100 tons. Over 1,000 tires that we collect from residential customers and from our fleet. 34 tons of electronics, 8 tons of pallets. On the commercial side, which is significantly heavy as far as the refuse side versus the residential side, the commercial side collected 20,816 tons of garbage. That accounted for 131,000 collection stops for the year, which is significant. We also have a recycling program, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. We have the schools participating in our recycling program. Right now we have 13 schools that participate in our recycling program, and I think that is all of the schools in the city limits. Is that not right, Ms. Terry? Okay. We have 64 commercial customers with the recycling dumpster collection service, and again, 122 customers that have 281 rollout containers that we collect on the recycling side. The recycling program, on the residential side, we have increased the recycling tonnage to 2,200 tons. The commercial collection recycling is at 361 tons. Now, overall, with the residential and the commercial, we've increased our recycling collection to about 2%. That may not seem like a lot, but that's 2% that doesn't go into the landfill. That's 2% that we save by not paying Onslow County X number of dollars to dump that material into the landfill. Educational outreach. There are several areas that Glenn and his people help us with as far as getting the message out to our residential customers. Educational videos on G10, the city website, which gives you indication of the services that are provided by the sanitation department and how to contact us. Everyone has seen the city calendars, which gives the holiday schedule, relays to the residential customer about recycling and other messages, and the printed material that we try to distribute as far as the door hangers and posters that that hopefully are helpful with the residential and commercial customers. The state of sanitation, I think, is good. Again, we have increased the services that we offer the residential customer. We have increased the services that we offer the commercial customer. We're looking for new and innovative ways to do the work that we do, to be responsive to residential customers as quickly as we can. We're working on a system now. It's a customer service outreach system that's going to be used in the public services department, but the sanitation department is the first guinea pig for this. Hopefully, it will enhance and increase our interaction with the public. It will give the public an opportunity to interact with the departments as far as, if you see something out that you feel needs to be picked up, or you want to make sure you inform the public services department or the sanitation about that, you will have access to an app, I believe, to get that information to us so that we can respond effectively and quickly to your needs. It's a good time. You would not believe it. It's a good time to be in the sanitation department. We have come leaps and bounds to where I started. I think everyone who's been here for a while remember the orange carts that we would roll down the streets and go behind the houses and pick the material up with
Fast rate.
at a fast rate. We have since gone beyond that. We're into automation, as everyone knows. And again, I want to emphasize we're always and continually looking for technological advantages to making sure that we can do the job for you as effective and quickly as possible. It's in good shape, and hopefully with the help of you people and the citizens of Jacksonville and the management of Jacksonville, we can continue to provide a good service.
Well, I think this would be an appropriate time if any of you've had some ideas about how you think that things can be improved or how you as a committee can help with recycling. We did some recognition through the recognition committee. We've had some conversations about, obviously, Kerry and his folks have been extraordinarily helpful in making, April cleanup month, and we also do this in September. Are there other things that you all wish to talk with them about that are ideas or things that you can advance to that end?
Well, Mr. Trell, I don't have an idea, but I would like to tell you, though, in Northwoods and on my little street, the folks that you have work for you always let me come by. They never get in the way. They will stop. They'll help me get through if there's a car in the way. They're just pleasant folks.
Very friendly.
Very, very sweet, very
But
nice.
yes, ma'am, but that's all part of the service we should be giving you. I mean, the people at this table and the people and the citizens of Jacksonville are taxpayers, and, that's the least we should do.
Well, they do it very well.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. What would be the process of growing a partnership with a commercial business as far as recycling, like a chain restaurant who uses tons of recyclable products and they fall into the trash can every minute?
Well, that's somewhat of a difficult question, and I'll tell you why. What we try to do when a new business comes to Jacksonville, I look at the site plans, and we try to cite the particular site plans with a trash container, dumpster, and a recycling dumpster. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. A lot of the commercial businesses that come to town, their corporate offices are not here, and the individuals that run those places sometimes can't do a whole lot unless they get back with their corporate office. And to be perfectly honest, that's a bother, and they don't do it. We have a lot of businesses right now, and there's a lot to do with the recycling. There's a lot more to do than this 361 tons that we collect a year. But it's a process, and it's a difficult process to get with the corporate people, to get a dumpster out there, this kind of stuff. And be quite honest, some of the local people that run the businesses have more things to worry about. And that doesn't seem like that should be, but that's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. We continue to try to work on increasing recycling. We do have numerous calls from businesses that are already established in town for dumpsters, for containers, that we can help them with their recycling, and we're working on the process of that. And I can assure you, I think each and every year, that number of people that are recycling, the commercial people that are recycling, is going to increase because they're slowly but surely coming on board.
Anybody got anything else? You folks
I have
usually
another
are.
question. Sorry.
That's okay.
When you pick up the recycling from a residential property, it all is dumped in the same container. So paper, plastic, aluminum. How does it get used? Where does it, it all gets dumped into the truck, and then what?
Yes, ma'am. That's called single stream recycling. And what we do is we take that material to the material recovery facility that's operated by Sunoco at the Onslow County landfill, and we literally dump it on the floor. And they take it and put it on a conveyor belt, and it goes up the conveyor belt, and they have individuals there that will sort that material. Yeah.
So people are going through the recycling and going through all.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a big job.
Yes, ma'am. If you've not been out there, it would be truly an eye opener if you go out there and take a look at what's going on out there. it's a small building, but there's a lot of material that's dumped on the floor and recycled through that location over there.
So then once it's sorted, is it sold to someone?
Yes, ma'am. Sunoco, they separate it, sort of separate it, and then they bundle it up, and then they sell it. They have the right to sell it for X number of dollars, whatever the market holds. Now, we do have a contract, I don't think a lot of people know this, we do have a contract with Sunoco concerning some reimbursement for the recyclables that we take out there. We have not been able to capitalize on it as of yet because the prices of the material, the plastics and the cardboard, have to get above a certain price before we can get reimbursed, get some monies back from our recycling going out there, and we have not reached that stage yet. But, you know, they handle it, they market it, and they sell it, and whatever they sell it for, at this particular point in time, they've reaped the monies from it.
There's a video on the county website, that's a facility operated by the county, that shows how that process goes. So if you might go to their website or their YouTube channel and see that, and he actually arranged for the Sunoco people to come see you back in February when we had to, unfortunately, to cancel that meeting. They unfortunately still showed up, but they were here to talk to you about what that was, and we'll see if hopefully we can get them in the future or something there.
Yes, sir.
Anything else for Carrie? Well,
Thank
Carrie,
you for
we,
your service.
yes,
Thank
absolutely,
you.
and
Thank you.
we certainly appreciate the cooperation you've shown to this committee for the cleanup months and for particularly the recycling. And you know how much they enjoy getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going and giving some treats to your folks there as it is. And so that's always an interesting morning for that time as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, committee, the next person we're going to hear from is Michael Okori. And I know he is, you folks are among his biggest fans for what he does and out there. And he counts on you to call all the council members during the budget deliberations to help him, you know, have good position there. But in serious note there, clearly Michael's leadership of this group has provided some remarkable and phenomenal actions that have taken place. And I'm confident he'll say too, of course, none of this could have been done without the council support and the funding that they have provided for this. But after all that's coming, so you have to have people like these two gentlemen that sit to my left here that actually execute that. And they do it in a remarkable way. And now Michael Okori celebrated that he is too for his work. He's going to chat with you a little bit about Clean and Green and the Parks Division.
Well, and thank you for all the pressure.
We like
Tough act, and I gotta say, tough act to follow after Carrie. What a great presentation and what a great job the sanitation group does with the city, and Carrie and his staff and all the staffs in the city, all the divisions do a great job, and we all are working together to try and strive and give the best job we can and be as efficient as possible with our taxpayers' dollars. And jumping on with what Mr. Hargett said, with council's leadership, with the management's leadership, and obviously with people like yourself's leadership, we're able to hopefully capitalize that as we have in the past, and hopefully as we're going to be able to moving forward. So what I'm here, though, to talk with you specifically tonight about is some of the landscaping we have done in the last year. More importantly, show you where we were, where we're at, and where we're going. And while I'm talking a lot to you now, I think I have about 75 slides for you that will be a good example of pictures are worth 1,000 words.
75,000.
Yeah.
75.
Some of the major work that we've done is down at our public services compound. Something tells me most of you have been down to that compound. It was built and opened around 11 years ago, and we're really proud of the work we were able to do there. You can see some of the traffic islands, and in an effort to be more efficient, these are very small, labor-intensive areas. Every week we're maintaining these areas. That is a cost to the city, a lifetime cost to the city. And you can see what we call pocket islands are everywhere out there. And they're not the best looking islands. So what we have is staff that generally have to come out and weed eat a lot of these areas, which we call it putting boots on the ground, which I also call that we're losing money when we're out doing that kind of labor. Now, obviously, there are areas we have to do them in, But when we can find areas that we can get rid of that for a lifetime, that's an efficiency and a savings over an extended period of time. So you can see some of these islands, the work that's being done in process through our landscaping staff, and obviously a lot of that credit, or all of that credit goes to Jason Smith. However, in the last year, we have been able to hire, for lack of a better term, a junior horticulturist, David Sinclair, and he led us specifically on this project of getting public services done. And you can see some of the work as where we were heading, and then slowly where we're going. And as you can see now, pictures are reflective of these areas that were high maintenance, time consuming areas for us that now we don't really have to maintain very often. Do we have to take care there not weeds in these areas, and will we have to change some of the shrubs out every now and then, because obviously plants will die no matter how good we are and how well we take care of them. But in the big picture, these are small costs moving forward. And as you can see, it also softened up the public services compound. And surprisingly, we've got a lot of comments, positive comments, and really not surprisingly, I shouldn't say surprisingly, but for the maintenance staff, sanitation, streets department, water and sewer people, the fleet people down there, very good response from them for the work that we had done. So they're obviously pleased with it. This job took us 3 weeks to complete. We installed 50 trees, 300 shrubs. We took 125 tons of brick chips, 20 yards of mulch, and 12 pallets of sod. Those 3 weeks, that's a lot of time. We'll make that up in about a year and a half. That's a great efficiency for our city. Public safety, hopefully you've been by there and seen it. This is a good example of a job that initially a contractor was going to do. And you can see some of the work that had been done by the contractor. And, a lot of times people check the box. They met the criteria. There's their plants. You can see their trees. There's their mulch bed. Well, we said that's not good enough. So we came back through all of public safety, and we made some changes. Changes that, again, in the long term are going to create efficiencies, and already have created efficiencies for us as we continue to work in these areas and maintain these areas. Not to mention a much, hopefully, as you would agree, nicer look. Softening our buildings up. The front side of 17, not the best look. A much better, softer look. One of the pluses at public safety is while we did the work that was initially started by a contractor, we used all the material they had. Now, we had to supplement some of it, but the mulches you'll see down there and some of the islands, we were able to utilize it for what we were doing, so we weren't spending additional money. Now, a lot of those areas, as we move forward, we won't replace with mulch. We'll replace with the brick chips, because for us, it's a one-time fee. We don't have to come in each year and replace brick chips. Do we have to supplement at times some areas and add a little bit here, a little bit there? Yes, but nowhere near coming back through and the thousands of dollars we would have to invest in remulching all these areas that you're seeing. A great example here is you'll see this area, which is, if you've been to public safety, you see a fence, and this is actually the back side of the fence. Initially, when it was constructed and landscaped, we would have to try and get a piece of equipment back there, a mower, if you will, to maintain this area. And not being familiar with that, it's not accessible through public property. We would have to go through private property, a homeowner or a business's property to get to these areas. We looked at it and said, that doesn't make sense. We can make this an area that we don't have to take equipment into. We can just walk back in there, use chemicals if needed, friendly chemicals, and do weed pulling. We don't need equipment to do that. So again, trying to be efficient, not having to put a piece of equipment in a tight area where it's really not a win. It's going to take a lot of time. We're not having to do weed eating again. So again, trying to create efficiencies for us as we move forward with the city. this is a great picture, and that's what it looked like before we got there, and that's what it looks like today. So again, because the interest for our department and for our staff is we are going to have to maintain these areas whether we install them or not. For us, while it stretches us at times to do some of these installations, the value is we are installing it, we're going to have to maintain it, so we look at it maybe a little different. We don't walk away from it. We're going to have to be here for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So again, you can see some of the work we've done, and a lot of kudos to Jason Smith coming through and basically working with our planning staff and the management team and coming up with some new designs to create a better, quote, landscape look for these areas. And while the looks are great, make no mistake, the underlining tone for us, low maintenance, low maintenance, low maintenance. So public safety, it took us 2.5 months to complete that. We planted 40 trees, 120 yards of mulch, 200 tons of brick chips, 400 shrubs, 45 tons of soil. That was after the initial contractor had been there. They added a parking lot behind what is the fire station. We completely did that from start to finish. We obviously made the phase 1, which is more of the police side, more attractive, and we've reduced our mowing on a weekly basis by 1.5 hours. So again, you can see if you go over there 30, 35 times a year, the savings adds up, because for us, our mowing crews carry 3 people. So it's 1.5, it's actually 4.5 hours per time we're saving. Now, these are some of the annuals at the center island. Hopefully you've noticed right behind us, next to the flagpole area. I'm really proud of this area. This is all us. We designed this, built the landscaping area, and then we used these these flowers to kind of brighten up the downtown area, basically as you enter into New Bridge Street into the downtown area. And then we're all familiar, I think, with the flagpole area. Yeah. And the flowers that we've put out there, and the summer annuals that you see. And again, there's the center island with even winter annuals, and that's one of the areas we're continually working on as we move forward to try and keep color during the winter time. And again, there's winter annuals. And then you see also we do some of these change outs at Riverwalk Crossing Park, obviously a great park with a great look. We've added beds for the annuals at the Exxon Gateway and also the Commons in Jack Amiette. And obviously we're going to continue for larger planter pots at some of our other gateways. I know we're familiar with the planter pots on Cheney, and somebody mentioned the other day, is one missing? One is missing. One is missing. You are absolutely right. We have some people in the community that like to make a right-hand turn off of 17 on the Cheney, and that doesn't work good for the pot. But for the 4 or 5 years we've been doing this, the reality is only about 4 pots have ever been hit. So that's okay. It's worth it to us, but you're going to see us take another step in the potting area and how we can make Jacksonville look a little better in our community. Now, Highway 24, hopefully you've noticed as you go towards the main gate, we removed, with the help of the streets department, as Dr. Woodruff likes to call, the metal trees that were out there. There were the metal, I call them metal bollards, whatever it is you want to refer to those in that island right there. So we worked with DOT. They were able to help fund the project, and we replaced them with our crepe myrtles and much softer, better look in that area, and we don't have those big metal poles sticking out. And then there's banners and Christmas decorations. For you, those of you that don't know, our Christmas decorations are about 6 feet tall. You know, when they're up in the air, you don't always realize that. One of the things we were able to do this year, or when it comes to Christmas decorations, 245 is what we put out this year. I think when we started doing Christmas decorations, we were at about 100 decorations. So we've added, and if for lack of a better term, what really we focus on is filling in gaps that were already to make it a continuous run. And we will always continue to try and do that. We're almost there, but as we continue to move forward, those are our focus areas, is not having gaps in the decorations. One of the things that we've tried to do with them is every couple of years shift them around throughout the city so everybody gets to enjoy the snow angels or the stars or whatever it is we have. I'm not even going to mention the candy cane because those seem to be the hot items right now for everybody. They like the candy cane. And we just want to move them around to each area so everybody gets a different look each year or every couple of years. Obviously, you're familiar with our 4 banner change outs in the spring, the fall, the summer, the winter, and then we were able to add with some additional funding from the TDA, some banners here that we were able to get up right before the parade for the military, which was a great thing. This is a personal favorite of mine. This is Onslow Drive, and you can see this island, which is at a stoplight at New River, and what it used to look like, and I'll go back real quickly, which was just a grass area. And it's not a large area, but again, from a maintenance standpoint, we have to drive there, we have to stop the truck, employees have to get out, we have to get the mowers off. These are all time-consuming things. And what we were able to do is come back in there and do this to it, which is, again, a much softer look, much more aesthetically pleasing, and again, from our seat, low maintenance, low maintenance. For us, plants are lower maintenance than grass. Now, we'll always have to mow grass, but in the areas that we can delete the grass and do the landscaping, there's a benefit for all when it comes to dollars being spent. So again, you can see Onslow Drive. And then we have the Jacksonville Landing, and you can see this is what it looked like when it was open. You can see a lot of the bare spots there, and we've run into some erosion problems. And as you can see, we've got some issues there. This is an area where we were, and if you rode by any this week and next week and the week after, you'll see our staff out there turning that area around to make it, again, much more maintenance friendly, not so much of a dust bowl in the middle of summer when people are trying to go out on the boat or driving by on Highway 17 or Old Bridge Street. What we're going to be doing is putting out 120 pallets of crown zoysia. Obviously, that's going to help with the soil erosion. It's going to make it a better looking place. It's going to make it much easier, again, for us to maintain. And we should be done with this no later than the end of April. So looking at some of the islands that we have already landscaped, you can see what they looked like before. And then we were able to come in afterwards and do some small work here, again, benefiting us, benefiting the city, and making it, again, much more efficient for us to maintain as we move forward. So here are some of the enhancements we were able to do. We were able to add 275 shrubs, 75 perennials, 180 yards of mulch. We have reduced our mowing time. So beautification with native plant material, new sections of the trail, and to continue to heavily maintain the grove. That's some of the landing and landscape enhancements that we have moving forward. And then we come to what we call Clean and Green. I don't know if you've heard of that program, but it's something we're working on every day that I know Carrie's crew does, and Johnny and all the crews in the city. And you can see some of the areas that we maintain throughout the city basically on a daily basis. And we try and do as best we can. That doesn't mean we get every piece of trash up, but we do get up 45 pounds of trash a day. We do get about 11,000 pounds of trash a year, which includes cigarette butts. And as you know, you've seen us, hopefully, if you haven't, edging and picking up trash. Some of our edging programs are to do Hargett Street, Highway 17, Country Club Road, Gum Branch Road, Belfork Road. And I got to tell you, we get a great response from the community when they see us out there. They're very good about bringing us drinks and things like that. Obviously, very pleased with what we're doing. And I think from my seat, what I've been most happy and most proud of is a lot of the home and as important business owners, as we have started this process about what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we see a difference in the community, not just from what we're doing, but the buy-in we're getting from some of these businesses and the levels and the standards that they now find acceptable and what's not acceptable to maintain their areas. And then the Beirut Memorial Grove, which is a small piece of property, if you're not familiar with, that is on the bypass. And we've all heard about the soil out there being in bad condition and the weed infestation of the landscaping beds and the tragedy of the 73 trees that didn't make it, and an irrigation system with no rain sensor and also multiple breaks in it. And we had to go out there and do something about it. And I'm happy to report to you that with the help of the Department of Transportation, our transportation department here in Jacksonville, the leadership group in Jacksonville, the council, the mayor, people like yourself, committees, the Beirut Memorial Committee, vendors like Hales and Hines, and I can slips my name, Mike, the gentleman we had down from Greenville, Worthington, Mike Worthington Farms helping us out, and obviously the park staff. It was truly a team effort for us to work on the Grove. It was a tough job. And you can see here, slowly we begin to take the trees out. We had to come in and basically reroute all the irrigation. The side of the hill, which is now with brick chips and our roses, you can see while it was set up like that, we had to do some small land movement to make it more eye appeasing for our public. And you can see slowly the things we were doing, and real proud that we were able to use the tree spade to plant the trees, slowly bringing the Grove back to life. And you can see the importance of our tree rings and things like that. And then obviously there are roses, which we're happy to report are doing very well. And our trees, which we're even happier to report right now, that do have buds on them, and I would expect in the next month or so we'll start to see them leafing up, and hopefully, from what we can tell right now, they're doing very well. Do we feel certain we're probably going to lose some of those trees? It would be odd if we didn't lose a couple of them. But in the big picture, we're happy with the response we're getting out there. So hopefully by the fall, we'll start seeing them change color a little bit into the scarlet look, and we're all excited about that as we move forward with it. And then as you can see, slowly but surely the Grove maturing into what it looks like today. And just really pleased and proud of the park staff and the work they were able to do out there. Proud of the city as a whole and the leadership of the city that said this is something we can do, we're better than this, and we're going to do it. And really proud of that, as I'm sure all of you are, because I know that's a very near and dear subject to each and every one of you. So what was done? 315 tons of topsoil had to be brought out there, 75 yards of soil conditioner, 58 pallets of zoysia, 35 irrigation repairs, 175 tons of brick chips, 273 Chinese pistache, 650 knockout roses, 21,000 square foot of landscaping fabric, and 2,000 pounds of sulfur. These are all things that we were able to do in the last year. Now for us, we were able to finish the Grove somewhere around right before, in the middle of October. Obviously the Grove's not going to be finished for about 5 years when those trees mature. That's when we're really going to see the pop at the Grove. I don't want to leave anybody with any idea that it's going to look like that this year. Are we going to be able to see a difference out there? Without a doubt. But we're going to have to wait for the trees to continue to mature as we move forward. But very proud of the job we did out there, and look forward to maintaining it as we move forward through the rest of this year and the next couple of years. So what have we done in the last 12 months since we last talked? We've planted about 500 trees. We put up about 245 Christmas decorations. We added 80 banners. We've planted about 2,000 seasonal annuals. We've put out 500 tons of brick chips, 1,800 shrubs, 400 bales of pine straw, 350 cubic yards of mulch, 145 pallets of sod that cost around $700,000 in materials. One of the things I'm really proud of, and I hope you are too, with people like Anthony Prince's help and even Glenn's and everybody in the city with the management team, a lot of that money was whether it was DOT money, transportation money. Did the city put some of that money in there? Yes, but very little of it if we looked at a percentage basis. A good example was the Grove, the things you saw that we did at the Grove, the purchases that were made. That totaled, with staff's time out there, about $164,000, completely reimbursed by DOT, including staff's time. That's a big deal. So your tax dollars, again, trying to keep them and be as efficient and stay within budgets and do the right thing and keep to standards that we need to keep to. We're doing those things. Can we do better at them? You bet. And we are continuing, much in the way Carrie said, working hard every day to try and be as efficient as possible how we work. So that's where we were and where we're at today. Now where are we going? Well, I'm sure you're aware there's a splash pad at Jack Hamiet. We've got the landscape around that. Make it look nice. Huff Drive, the Parkway, and the Highway 17 interchange. Those areas are getting ready to happen. We've talked to you about those before. Again, DOT money's going to help with that. But those are areas that hopefully a year from now when I come back, we'll have pictures to show you where we were, where we're at, and where we're going with those areas. Richard Ray All-American Park, doing some of the enhancements. The beds out there look nice, but there are things we can do to make them look better. The front of the Commons building, we've done some minor changes to it. If you've been by there, we're continuing to work on those, as well as the parking lot, again, to make it the standards that we're looking for and our public expects from us. And then the amphitheater, once it's finished, we'll have to come in there and landscape in those areas, add some trees, make it a much nicer place. And then there's public services, which you saw some pictures of where we were. Those are all the areas that are visual to the eye if you drove down there. There is areas on the back side of the right where another row of building is that is full of what I call pocket islands. We're already working with our transportation people here in Jacksonville who seem to have identified funding from the state to do those areas. So in the fall, we'll look to do those areas while they won't be as visible to some of the workers or even people that go down there. The efficiencies that they'll create for us are going to be very helpful in our time management. And then obviously some of the islands that were done by DOT on Highway 17 from basically the Triangle area back to the Exxon station, we'll start maintaining those at a higher level, and you may see us come back in behind them a little bit and do some freshening up of those areas and making those a little more eye appealing. Our goals are to make the islands look, not exactly, but very much somewhat the same. So when people ride by, they're gonna know, that's Jacksonville. And how do I know that? Because I know the plantings, I know there's Nandinas and Jacksonville does that, and I know the level and the brick chips, and so we're trying to brand ourselves a little bit in how we landscape. We don't need a lot of different looks. We just need to have one look that we're really good at. So, that's our program for tonight. I hope I didn't keep you too long. I think you won. And I'd entertain any questions if there are
Why
any.
don't you mention, you overbought on the trees. You and Jason
did.
went out there, so you actually have some for the Grove, should some fail or.
We do,
mortality.
and, and a lot of the things we do, we did buy 300 trees at the time, planted 273, and we still have the other trees. So if something were to happen, we have them on hand to try and change them out quickly. Still too early to see but we'll, you know, we do have some on hand, and that was good foresight. We've gotten to an area, we've tried to do some expansion at our building by moving some fencing around, and we've created two neat things for efficiencies for us. We're really big on bulk purchasing because obviously there's a lot of savings for that, and we do a lot of our landscaping with bulk purchasing, and we're able to maintain them in the pots when they come and keep them there, so we're able to respond if we have some death or blight within the city. That generally we've got the plants on hand. We don't have to order. We don't have to sit and wait and those sorts of things. The other thing we did that has been very helpful for us, and in a little bit of a way helpful to Carrie, and actually I think I had a conversation with them about it before we did it, is we were able to contract with a company to bring a dumpster to us, and I'm not using the right term, a dumpster for vegetation. And why is that important to us? Well, for one, it was important because anytime we had things that we were trimming trees or doing any of this type of work, which we do a lot of, we had to run out to landfill. We had to run out to landfill. We had to run out to landfill. From our seat, that's an hour trip. Make no mistake. I don't, you know, people can tell you it's 20 minutes there and 20 minutes. It's an hour. It's an hour. You can pretty much count on that. Well, that's money that we're losing that we're not getting work done. So we were able to contract with a company that was able to bring one of those on site. We're able to bring the debris back, fill the dumpster, and then when it gets to a certain point, they'll come and get it and empty it, and when they do, they won't even empty it. They'll take it and replace it with a new one. And that has created a small efficiency, it seems like, but a very big efficiency because we're not wasting time driving in the vehicle. And again, those are time wasters moving forward.
Anybody got anything else you want to mention to them or whatever?
Mike, where do you get your brick chips from?
Well, it's funny, you know, we bid it out each time, and we've gotten it from various places. There are times we have, as crazy as this will sound, there are times we have got it from vendors here in Jacksonville. And there are times that people in Alabama are able to get it to us cheaper than they are here in Jacksonville. So it just depends. There are multiple vendors out there for brick chips. Like anything we buy with the city, we buy that obviously in bulk. We bid it out, go through the process, and
So what are the benefits over the mulch?
the brick chips,
Uh-huh.
I don't have to replace them.
Okay,
I don't have to replace them.
okay,
You know, when the wind blows,
okay.
mulch generally is going to move a little bit. Mulch is going to fade. You're going to lose.
Deteriorate too.
You're going to lose the mulch.
And the brick you don't.
In the brick you don't. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody doesn't walk through an island and kick it out. Some areas that happens. I don't want you to say that once you put it in that it's. But we're only supplementing in a big picture areas where before we would have had to come back and recreate those areas. So again, a little more, obviously more expensive on the front side, but much, much cheaper if we're able to look at the big picture, much, much cheaper in the long run to go a route like that.
I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question also. You all have done such a lovely job with all of the government and public areas, and I was wondering with the new health department being built, if you have plans to landscape around that area?
And I think that's the county health department.
So that does not involve you?
Not that I'm aware of, no. We would focus on our city facilities and DOT right-of-ways and things like that. That's a great question, though.
Anyone else? Well, let's thank both these people and particularly the support staff that was provided for them here. And thank you all very much, and we appreciate it. Mike, I am going to ask you just to pause for a moment before you leave, and Madam Officiating Officer, I'm going to jump to the tree ordinance if you might want to under that. We worked with Jason at the last tree board meeting, Jason and Michael, about a tree ordinance. And this is one where we have actually found some items in our code that perform many of these functions. And so we're putting our ordinance on hold now It has the enforcement things in there, they're already in it, but we've got to evaluate that and kind of go back from it. And so the tree board members, Betty and some of the rest of them that were here for that, that's what that was. So when you see it, that we had planned to take it to the city council at their April 19th meeting, and now that's on hold because we already have something on the books as it was there. So I'll give kudos to that point as it was there. So thank you both at this point there.
Thank you. Thanks for having us tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. So the other part, while I've got the floor then, the other part about the tree board item there was obviously about Arbor Day. And with the help of Mike LaCory, we identified work to be done at Jack Amyette and at Clyde Irvin. And we have set then Friday, April 29th, well, y'all set that a year ago, that would be the Arbor Day observance. I want to tell you there was some changes at the state level that forestry is now a part of the agriculture department. And no longer are they part of natural resources as it is. And moving over there, they did some significant reorganization. And before, many of you'll remember, we kind of didn't know who was coming to be a part of the ceremony when, and sometimes we'd be looking down the road to see who's coming, you know. But we've already got commitments from them. We already have a copy of the speech they're going to give. I'm feeling real good, to be telling the truth. Much better than we felt at any other times on the matter there. And so we're going to be working through that and going there. So that's what that is, and just mentioned about the tree ordinance, so that's a done deal.
Okay, well, we'll go to our subcommittee, recognition subcommittee, Mr. Carroll.
We didn't have any meetings. I got one recommendation for commercial business. Would recommend new Marine Federal Bank on Western Boulevard Extension for their care of their property.
Yes.
Other than that,
But this is a good time to mention the public can nominate. They can call the front desk with Yolande. They can, we have an online form on the web. They can email any one of y'all that can help us get it to it, and so we'll work from there and go from that end.
Okay. And next, the planning subcommittee, April is cleanup month. We didn't meet either, but this is our month for cleanup, and I think the sanitation department will be collecting items all month.
They are, and we've got some publicity. Obviously, we did it in the insert, so that went to 19,000 homes. I'm talking about that. And we have some social media that we're pushing out. And this, you always kind of tell the generational stuff when they leave some of that out, but the splash pad is a wonderful example of that. We put up on the social media the splash pad, and it got picked up enough so that the reach of that was more than 165,000 reads on that. I mean, blown away. So.
The next, committee matters.
Well, in the strategic discussion, this is where you recall after the December session, this is a moment we're keeping on the agenda, so you see if there's any other items you've thought about, if there's anything else. I mean, obviously you had two divisions here this evening that were critical components, and your support of them obviously provides a great deal of impetus, as well as the word back to the city council about the funding of those two units. But if there's anything else that you might want to take or thoughts that you want to do, the comment was made about increasing recycling and things such as that. And this would be the time too about what other reports might you want. You've seen at the bottom of your agenda what your plan is and kind of reports that you're going to get through the year. We can help you with that video that's of the Sunoco people as it is that the county produced, and kind of show that. And if y'all think that, we might be, the county is currently showing it on G10 too, but we can show, we can do something and perhaps take some of you folks out there and do a little tour with it and video that, and y'all give your commentary as to how that works as it is too. I think we've had a good report on the Lejeune, on the Beirut Memorial Grove. I'll say on the Lejeune Trail, it is progressing, the Lejeune Greenway and Trail. They're out there. They have reached the area by the road, the entrance road, the construction road that was made into the Vietnam Memorial for back in that area. And basically, that's where they're going to stop now and reassess and do some other things. You might have seen some stakes out there and things like that. There's a lot of field adjustments that were made. The guys that are there are putting down the plans according to what was, and we found some as-built things. Some sidewalks got, the base put some sidewalks in that are a little bit different than what had been planned as it was there. So some adjustments had to be made for that. But they are still believing that they're going to be on time before, certainly before the event for Montford Point Marines on the 27th of August, the 29th of August, and July, 29th of July.
Because I was talking to Ms. Francis, the vet over here whose father's Montford Point. She thought they were going to try to move it up to April because of their concerns of Montford Point Marines becoming older generation, and the heat month of August might be kind of rough for them.
We agree with them about that heat, but their national conference is set for that time, and that's when I thought they were doing that. But we'll check with the folks and see like that. Houston Chanel has asked to see.
It's complete other than
Yes.
the lights they don't put around it. Other than that,
Well, there's another phase.
it's quite a memorial.
And they've started the fundraising for that last phase, and they'll be through. And they got to give credit there. That was one that design, build, and go. And we're basically talking about a period of time that's certainly less than we've seen some other things come out of the ground, for that. But we're pleased with the Lejeune Greenway and Trail. It was the plan to start at the other end, at the base end, because we thought they were going to start right before October of last year. But the contractor had some issues getting his employees on base and things such as that, and so that got delayed. But he says he'll remain on schedule, so that's the deal there. We don't have the planning board liaison to go, and I will tell you, they've not done a lot of meetings since then, because obviously development is a lot less now in Jacksonville than what it was. But I will make a comment to you that they advanced, and the city council has reviewed a provision for adjustments to billboards. Some of you might know that there was a billboard ordinance passed by the legislature that basically takes away local control of where billboards can be and how they can be replaced. And there is also a special provision that allows them to cut down trees in front of billboards without having to get any local review of that. And the last thing was about digital billboards being put up in place of billboards that were already in existence. The city council took some action to regulate some of that was within their power, and so that was what was performed at the last time there. And it's time for you to go around the table then.
Okay, do anyone have any comments? We'll start with.
Could I ask a question, please? May I? Who is the they you were talking about regarding the billboards? The state?
The state legislature.
The state legislature, okay.
Forgive me for not being more specific.
No, maybe I missed
The
it.
General Assembly.
I wanted just to clarify, when we were discussing the Greenway Trail, were you meaning that July 29th would be the day that it's open to ride on a bike?
No.
pavement, or-
They will stop, if they're not past that area, they will stop construction. There will be nothing that will be an impediment to them having that event. Equally so, there's provisions in the contract that nothing they do is going to interfere with October 23rd or the dates that for the Vietnam observance also. So it is spelled out in there, and
Okay,
that's
so
obviously
that's not meaning
important.
that it's gonna be clear to ride a bike from where it ended to the Beirut Memorial? Is that what you're talking about, the connection in between the two?
The pathway, what you're, I think, talking about is what's the pathway? The pathway is from basically the intersection of Montford Point Road. It goes down the road and crosses at the place where we cross when we have ceremonies, and then it goes through the gardens and then comes out at where now the pedestrian bridge crosses 24.
Right.
That's the other end of the
Okay.
plan
So
project.
what's the projected completion date of,
They believe they're going to be through before September of this year.
okay. Sounds good.
Is that going to be a trail just for walking and bikes, or is it going to be for running?
It's multi-purpose,
Running?
yes,
How
multi-purpose.
long is that going to be? 2 miles, 3 miles?
I don't remember the length of that. You know, it seems long when you're there. But I mean, it's 4 miles from the main gate so I mean, it's probably about 2.5. I think it's 2.5 miles, but we'll get you that number. I'm
That
speaking from the
section will
hip.
complete the loop. You'll be able to do
It
full
completes,
circle.
but it's not
Wow.
a complete of what we want, because we want something that goes from that intersection with Montford Landing Road back downtown to connect to the other trail that goes out to the railroad, in the old railroad path.
So are
That
there
would make it the
proposals
triangle.
for
Well,
that?
but they can ride in the street, people can ride, and we do have sidewalks, but it's not of that, you know, designated marked area. That is in the plans.
That's fun.
All right.
What about the marina?
The Marina, as you know, the city council approved going out for bids, going out for a grant. And so the first project that would be funded by the grant would be largely fixing the storm seawall in there, things that have been neglected a while. Do a lot of work with the docks. There would still be rental spaces for some of the boats. And there would also be, though, made some space for itinerant overnight transient boats. They would have a pump-out station for people who, there's not a pump-out station on the New River. So this would provide for a pump-out station. And one thing I'm excited about is that it would have a dock that would be suitable for like a river taxi or something like that. And some more areas where canoes and kayaks can be done in that area. The building itself at a later time could be transitioned into some other type of purpose, whether it's a shop that rents canoes and kayaks, or whether it's, a picnic pavilion or something of that nature. But phase one basically fixes kind of everything from the water, where the dirt is, out to the water. That's the main thing, and takes down some of the stuff that needs to be taken down. I hope you've noticed it's cleaned up a whole lot.
It's been neglected a long time.
So, but, the city got that at a great price. It was below what the tax value was published for that property. So, I mean, that's
Who
one.
owned it, Glenn?
I do not know the name, but I know that he purchased the old turtle museum in Surf City. And so, but it's one of those ones where each of you will make a judgment as to yourself as to the purchase. But remember, the city basically purchased the commons area for, a little less than $400,000. This was, and now you know what the value is of the commons area. And, that's
Wow.
pretty impressive on that deal there. So this one's one I hope everybody will look back on and say,
It is,
that
if it
was
below
a
the
good
tax value.
buy,
Well, the city needed it because it's a great place,
Yes,
you know, the city, John.
We've been updating some history of the city, and we looked at some maps from 1926, and that was the area where there was a small sawmill down there, and a distillery, that was used to make some turpentine back in 1926. And the maps were updated in 1948. Obviously, we know what happened in the intervening time, and that is the area where they created a large sawmill and things such as that, and it was quite a production down there. And I had not known until recently that there had been a rail spur that went to that area, and to take away and to bring stuff out of there. So, interesting look back on history.
Did the city approach the buyer, or did the buyer approach the city?
It happened both ways. There was one time they went and the price wasn't right. They went and then other things happened and the price got right.
That's very good.
Okay, where are we?
Summary
We're
of
right here, the summary, and we can just say that, I will say about the shadow member, if you all know some people that you'd like to nominate to be leadership members, this would be a good time to do it. The shadow members are the ones that we get from for the chamber leadership. But, that would be a good way to do that as it is. And obviously, your next meeting is 6 PM, June 2nd.
Do we have any vacancies on this board?
Not at this time.
For guys.
For guys.
We just like you just said.
I know. Thank God I got 2 bathrooms. Don't just have a ladies' room, I'm in trouble.
Nothing else, we will adjourn.
All right, and let's all thank Ms. Linda.
You did very good, girl. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, we're proud of you.
You did very well.
Are we off the air?
Yes.
Oh.